Hey everybody, guess what? Drag Race is back. Sorta. If y'all have not done it yet, get the Logo TV app on any iOS device. I don't know if it's for Android yet, but get the Logo TV app and you will get a sneak peek of season 6 before the air date on February 24th. But there's a caveat to that. You only see half the episode. But hey, at least it's a little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to go down this season. So you kind of get a little bit of a trailer in the beginning, and you see the crazy fashion on the runway. You see Courtney Act with her awesome angel wings, and you see Ben Delacreme's really weird beetle outfit, and you see April carry on that dramatic umbrella thing with all the rain coming down that blocks her face. You also kind of hear Bianca Del Rio's meltdown on the judges panel. You don't see Bianca, but you can hear the distinctive Bianca Del Rio gravelly voice saying something to the effect of, "I'll show you guys versatility when Santino wins a sewing competition and when Michelle Visage wears a turtleneck." Bam! Boom! Dig! Obvious reference to Santino being a runner-up on his season of Project Runway, and for Michelle Visage, I can never say her name, Michelle Visage always showing off her fun bags with her plunging necklines. I mean, if you got them, flaunt them, right? Also, from that little teaser in the beginning of the episode, you see there's going to be a lot of acting challenges. You see kind of like a groovy beach scene challenge, and you see a horror screamathon with pig's blood challenge. So it looks like acting is going to be front and center again this season. So hopefully all the queens are versatile and pretty good at acting. So let's get to the episode. First one to walk into the workroom is my girl, my favorite, Team Adore Delano. She's walking in with her tight Jessica Rabbit dress and her blue hair. And, you know, she's taking it all in. She's young, she's fun. She's just fun times. She's fun, fucking hilarious times. And I am so excited. So she's the first one in the workroom, so she gets her spot. And then Ben Delacreme comes in with her very campy opening. I'm very convinced now that they tell you the queens to come up with some witty something when they walk into the room, because it's very, very choreographed. But Ben Delacreme rushes in, and she's like, you know, the epitome of 50s housewife campy, you know, I Love Lucy type of person. When she runs into the room and she does her campy stuff, and Adore's sitting there in her little chair going, what the fuck? But, you know, it's I guess how anybody would react when some of the new queens come in and you don't know how to take them at first. But Adore's like, whew. Next one into the workroom was Gia Gunn, and she came in with this monster-sized handbag. It looked like hula hoops, and half of it was a handbag. It looked, I don't know what the hell it was, but it was pretty fierce. And Gia walked in very cunty with her leopard bathing suit thing and her severe ponytail and her sunglasses. I was like, work, girl, work. Next to come in was Laganja Estranja, and of course we saw this already in an earlier preview. She walks in and does the patented House of Edwards death drop, and Gia Gunn was living for it. And we also find out that Adore and Laganja already know each other because they both started at the same club at the same time, so they're kind of like drag sisters already. Next one in was April Carrion, and she was very Boy Scout military-ish with her ensemble, and she had a little parachute trailing behind her. I mean, it was okay. I wasn't living for it, but you know, she's pretty cute. I like April. And then Kelly Mantle walks in, and she walked in very pedestrian. Her ensemble was very pedestrian to me. Gia Gunn clocks her in one of their interviews that happens behind the scenes, but clocked her entrance with like, not giving me life. That's what Gia Gunn was saying. This outfit was not giving me any life. And I have to agree, unfortunately, even though I like Kelly Mantle, it was just very amateurish to me. Come on, Kelly, I know you have a lot of experience. You should have stepped up your game on that entrance. But she did have a funny opening when she came in and took off her sunglasses and saw the other queens and put them back on. She's like, ooh, we're gonna leave these on. But other than that, it was very wah wah. And then the Vivacious comes in, also from an earlier preview you saw. She comes in with this alien costume, and it's like an extra alien head protruding from her head. And she walks in and she can't get the zipper down at first initially. So she has this dramatic entrance and it's like, oh. It kind of killed the moment. And she's like, Mother has arrived. I'm like, Mother has arrived from what planet? I'm not sure. But, you know, it was sort of fierce. And she also mentioned she's the last club kid from New York City. And if anybody's ever watched Paris is Burning, I mean, I love that movie. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of warming up to you because I kind of like that era. So after these first 7 queens walk in, RuPaul shows up on the TV screen and everybody, including myself, is like, what the fuck's going on? Why are there only 7 people? And the queens are looking around and RuPaul's like, surprise, we're doing 2 premieres. So it's just gonna be you 7 competing and one of you's going home. And everybody's like, oh shizzle. That means the eyes will be all focusing on all of us because there's only 7 to look at, so you can't blend into the crowd. That's a lot more pressure. It's awesome. They're doing a 2-part premiere. But I was like, oh man, that is a loop. And as I predicted in one of my earlier videos, the first photo shoot involves them jumping off a platform into some foam blocks. I was like, they're gonna get some shitty, gotta do something wild photo shoot, and that's what they have to do this time. They gotta jump off a platform, look sickening, into the foam blocks. Hilarity ensues. Most of them struggle, which is, you know, predictable, except for Laganja. She was sickening. She killed that photo shoot, but she's got like dancer legs and she's a dancer anyway, so she knows how to pose. What's also revealed in this photo shoot is we've got 2 new pit crew members, along with our previous 2. We got 2 new ones, and one of them is Miles Davis Moody. Look him up on Instagram, everybody. That's a hunky dreamboat right there, especially with those eyes. I was like, holy crap, Miles Davis Moody? They really stepped up their pit crew game this time around. And of course, the pit crew is brought to you by the wonderful people of Scruff. Download your app today. And then of course, after every photo shoot, you get the first out of drag moments where they're stripping out of their clothes, and you know, Vivacious is pointing out that he and Kelly are probably the oldest ones there. And Ben Della Creme looks a lot different out of drag than he does in drag. And Gia Gunn is a lady boy in drag or out of drag. So it's funny the reactions they always have when they're taking off their drag attire. But we find out that Vivacious has been doing drag for 21 years and Kelly Mantle for 17. And then there's Shady Gia again in one of her interviews, not wondering why somebody with 17 years of experience isn't as good as they should be. And Gia's like, well, if it's not something that's caught on by now, maybe you should go into a different line of work. I freaking love Gia. She is shady as hell and I love it. And Adore Delano is noticing all the other queens' wardrobe, like Gia's, and all the other ones with their sparkly gowns, and they brought all of their outfits, and Adore's like, I only brought like 4 gowns, and she's feeling very inadequate compared to everybody else, and she's feeling scared and nervous, and it's pretty like, oh, I want to give you a hug, Adore. Okay, so then it was main challenge time. So the first main challenge involved them taking boxes with TV shows labeled on them, like Game of Thrones, and Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, and Golden Girls, and Duck Dynasty, and Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and etc, etc, etc. It's really popular shows, reality TV programming and such of today. Oh, Downton Abbey was on there too. And taking all the clothes inside and converting them to couture gowns that reflect each individual queen. And since Laganja won the mini challenge, she got to hand out all the boxes to everybody. And you get a scene where Adore's kind of like next to her, kind of whispering, trying to get Laganja to hand her the Golden Girls box. And Laganja either didn't hear her or is doing some strategy thing, but she gives Adore Delano Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, which Adore does not like. And Adore doesn't understand if it's strategy or what's going on, but she wasn't happy. But April Carrion's box wasn't any better. She got Duck Dynasty, and it's like, what the hell can you do with burlap and flannel? And in the workroom, RuPaul comes to visit and notices like Adore doesn't know how to sew. And RuPaul's very critical of the young queens who don't know how to sew. She's like, what's up with the queens these days that don't know how to sew? You know, Ben Della Creme doesn't know how to sew. It's just a whole lot of hot glue in there. So fast forward to the actual runway presentation, and freaking Adore Delano has accidentally glued her dress to her mannequin. and she's freaking out. Everybody's already getting ready and almost ready to go to the runway, and she's like ripping her dress off of the mannequin, and Gia Gunn tries to help, and she's like, fuck it. But it was like, oh man, what the hell is she gonna do? And the extra special judge this week was Adam Lambert. Boylicious Adam Lambert. I don't know what he did different or what he's done different, but Adam Lambert's looking very, very hot these days. I don't know if he's filled out a little, or it's the goatee, or he's got good makeup. I don't know what it is. Y'all tell me, but he's looking really good these days. So Gia Gunn comes out with her outfit, and she looked pretty good. You know, it was a pretty good outfit from the Keeping Up with the Kardashians box, and she looked pretty flawless. The only problem with her is she wore these shoes, and they kind of cut off her legs and made her legs look stubbier, and she's already short enough, so it kind of made her look a little stubbier, and Michelle Visage called her out on that. April Carrion came out looking flawless. I mean, the outfit she created from that Duck Dynasty box was amazing. She looked beat to the gods. I mean, she looked really good on that runway, and Adam Lambert must have been agreeing with me because he was practically eye-humping her whole walk. Next, Laganja Estranja came out looking very futuristic with, you know, big disco silver ball looking thing and the black collar. It kind of made her look like she had no neck, and the black hair, and you know, you could tell she's Alyssa Edwards' drag daughter because she did that whole, you know, stomping down the runway and pointing the direction she's about to go in, and it was pretty funny because I was like, that looks just like Alyssa Edwards walking. And then Kelly Mantle came out. She looked pretty but very plain. She's just very plain and underwhelming and pedestrian, and I'm like, man. But you know, I remember Jinx Monsoon last season when she first walked into the workroom. She looked very plain and pedestrian, and she ended up winning. So I don't know, but Kelly she looked like Christine Baranski. If you ever seen that show, Sybil, I think she was on Sybil. But yeah, she looks like that. She was pretty, but just plain. And then Adore came out, and she looked like, you know, very prom dress chic, you know, 80s Heatherette kind of. That's what she called it, like an 80s Heatherette thing before Heatherette learned how to sew. But, you know, the dress was kind of a mess, but, you know, I actually kind of liked it. I liked the colors she chose, and it worked with her makeup. You could tell Adore Delano was not loving it, but I liked her dress, and she sold it on the runway. But, you know, it was kind of a mess, but I liked it. And then Vivacious came down with awesome walk. I mean, it was freaking, you know, House of La Beja walk from, you know, the New York club scene. But, you know, her outfit was kind of, but it was really her hair. It would look like her hairline started down here, and Michelle Visage was like pointing that out. It's like her hairline started here, but her walk was to die for. And then finally, Ben Della Creme came out, and that dress that she made out of hot glue and desperation, as she said, looked tailored to perfection. It fit her body perfect. I didn't know you could do that with hot glue. But it looked like she crafted that out of, you know, sewing needles, and she tailored it to death. But it was just hot glue, but it was an amazing outfit. And, you know, naturally she won the first runway. And that's when RuPaul sprung another surprise on us. There's no freaking immunity this season. That's right, no immunity. So if you win, you're not safe at all. So she's like, every moment's gonna count this season. And I'm like, oh, fudge-sickle. It was funny when they're getting their critiques, and every time they talk to Gia Gunn, she's always like, absolutely. Absolutely. I love Gia Gunn. She is so shady, and she's just funny. Love it. But she's not like shady like Roxy Andrews shady, where it's like almost uncomfortably intimidating. She's like shady like Jujubee shady, where it's like funny, it's, you know, lighthearted, it's like you can't get offended. It's a lot more endearing. So that's why I like Gia. Gia's like really fastly becoming my favorite this season because she's just shady as hell, and I love shady bitches. Also, when the judges critiques, you know, they point out the whole April Carrion and Adam Lambert love fest, and when Adam's like giving her compliments, Michelle Visage is like, get a room. And later on, RuPaul's like, it's because you want to fuck her. It was just, it's hilarious. And I mean, that was just so funny, that little love fest between those two. And then Laganja Estranja is strangely energetic when she's getting critiqued and giving her answers. Like I mentioned before, she's really over the top, and I think the judges clocked her for being over the top, and I don't know why she's doing it. Hopefully she calms down, but she's just so over the top. So then it was Adore's turn to get critiqued, and like I said, the judges clocked her outfit, but they said she had an it factor, and I agree. Adore definitely has an it factor, and Adore is comedic timing genius, and her answer on the runway was hilarious. It's probably what saved her, but I mean, yeah, they clocked her outfit, so she's gonna have to really pick it up on the next challenge. And then Ben de la Creme got her critique, and I guess they call her Dela for short, and I think Vivacious called her Dela too, so we're just gonna call her Dela. But she was very campy and funny during her runway presentation. You know, she had like a slice of pie on a plate, and you know, she was really playing up that 50s housewife sort of shtick. But the judges thought her dress looked very couture, very form. It fit her body perfect. It was sewn, hot glued to perfection. And you know, her answers were funny. They were borderline campy. You know, there was an eye roll from Adore. But Dela definitely has one of those personalities, and Michelle Visage says this too, one of those personalities that could get really old really fast. I hope not, but it's really campy and really over the top and very, very, very sickening as far as being so overly sweet and just delightful. It's just sometimes. But it was funny when the judges are giving their critiques. It looked like Santino and Michelle were just on the opposite end of the spectrum on every critique, and it was funny. Every time Michelle said something, Santino would say something to counter it, and they would pan to Michelle, and her face, it was like bitch face. It was like, bitch, if you disagree with me one more time. I thought Michelle was gonna like spring out of her chair and just like freaking throttle him. Okay, so the two that were in the bottom two after this was Kelly Mantle and Vivacious. Adore was the last one safe, and you could tell that she was crying and she thought she was gonna be in the bottom two, but like I said, her personality saved her. So the bottom two were Kelly and Vivacious. Of course, if you saw this little mini episode, you know that they don't do the lip sync yet because they're not gonna give away everything before February 24th when the season premieres. So we got like basically half an episode. So it's Vivacious versus Kelly Mantle. Don't know who's gonna win. I predict that actually it's going to be Vivacious winning this lip sync, and then Kelly's going to go home first, and I think they're going to bring Kelly Mantle back later in the season because she's too like talented not to bring back and to be cut short after one like challenge. So I think Kelly Mantle's going to be brought back, but I think she's going to lose this lip sync. So there's some miscellaneous takeaways I take from this first episode. First one is, I kind of like April Carrion. I didn't give boy version of April much credit earlier, but boy April is very cute actually. I like his personality, and he's actually pretty attractive, and I was like, oh, I didn't give him enough credit. And you know, Adam Lambert was loving some April Carrion as well. Another thing I take away is, I'm gonna say it again, I really like Gia Gunn. Like, I was looking at pictures of Gia before the season, and like from other people's comments about Gia, I thought she was gonna be like this big stone cold bitch, but she's just funny shady, and she's not that bad actually. I don't know how, if the season progresses she'll get worse, but I'm really liking Gia Gunn. She is like jujube shady. I like her. I think a lot of people are gonna agree with me. I mean, I think Gia Gunn's gonna surprise people and just be one of those like surprise breakout stars because she's just so funny and she clocks everybody. And I just love the way she says absolutely. I think I'm gonna do that from now on. I'm just gonna be like, absolutely, for no apparent reason. And of course, the final takeaway, I said it earlier, no freaking immunity. This is gonna be a freaking nail biter of a season. There's no immunity, and that sucks, I guess. But I mean, it's really good because they're gonna have to be on their A game all the time. But I was like, man, that's kind of like season 2 when Jessica Wilde won her challenge and there was no immunity, and then she got eliminated the next challenge, and I was like, damn it, I love Jessica Wilde. So that was my takeaway from that little half an episode of season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race. If you haven't downloaded Logo TV's app, get it right now. It's on any iOS device. Go to the iTunes store, type it in, Logo TV, so you can get this first episode and watch it before the premiere on February 24th, where we'll get the extra supersized whole episode. So that's iOS devices will get this Logo TV app. I'll link it below if you just are lazy and don't want to look for it yourself. So that's my first little vlog, my first little episode commentary. I'm going to try to do it like my boy Michael Scoggins. We're going to try to do one every episode, and we're going to try to do a collabo. We're still working out the details. But comment, subscribe, rate, check out my other RuPaul's Drag Race videos. Go team Adore Delano, go Adore, #1, and I will catch you guys later.